World War I has always been seen as a war in black and white. It was the only way pictures from the front and scenes recreated for the camera could be filmed. But it was not the reality. The reality happened in color. The slaughter, the innovation, the shock, the political upheavals, victory, defeat. The fields were green, the mud brown, the flames bright. Now, with the aid of new computer technology, the black and white of World War I has been faithfully and with minute attention to detail recast in color. For the first time, this series will tell the story of the First World War as it was seen by those who fought it. World War I was war on a scale never known or imagined before. Between 1914 and 1918, some 65 million men took up arms. 10 million died in battle. 20 million were irretrievably wounded in their minds or their bodies. 9 decades later, the remaining few who remember, who took part, gather at the Menin Gate, part of the old walls of Ypres in Belgium. They survived. They have never forgotten those who did not.
Many of the men who suffered the worst of the dangers and hardships and terrible experiences, they never got home, did they? Their bones are still on the battlefields in many cases.
In this war, the millions who died were statistics to be recorded by future historians. What mattered were your friends, the men around you, the men just along in the trench, the men of your gun crew.
The 5 of us were a little group together, and that's what worried me most when 3, 4 and 5 were killed. All I can remember is their nicknames: Maudie Allen, Jack and Jill. That's all I can remember. I wish I could.
World War I was truly a world war, fought from the shores of America to the shores of Asia. It was a clash of great empires which destroyed the old and ushered in the new. Dynasties were shattered, a royal family murdered and replaced by revolutionary terror. It was a war that changed the nature of war itself. A dreaded new expression appeared, going over the top.
I always said a prayer. You look like something that used to laugh at me. But I always ask God to let me fight like a man and bring back safe and sound.
If any man tells you he went over the top and he wasn't scared, he's a damn liar.
This brutal war destroyed the very land itself.
Not a tree stands, Not a square foot of surface has escaped mutilation. There is nothing but the mud and the gaping shell holes. And in the bottom of many, the bodies of the dead.
There were fearful weapons, massive mines, artillery barrages unlike anything seen before.
I marvel myself sometimes how human nerves can stand the strain of our existence. Day after day, night after night, hour after hour, a heavy shell falling every few minutes within a few yards of you, half stunning you with the crash of the explosion.
Shrapnel on the barrage was terrible, terrible. How anybody ever survived it, I don't know.
It was not just the Western Front. To the east, Russian soldiers, killed in their millions, were the first to question the point of it all.
What are we doing in this war? Several hundred men have already passed through my platoon alone, and at least one half of them have ended up on the fields of battle, either killed or wounded. What will they get at the end of the war?
The discontent would fuel the conditions for a revolution that shook the world.
This is no longer a capital. It is a cesspit. No one works, the streets are filthy. There are piles of stinking rubbish in the courtyard. It hurts me to say how bad things have become.
There was a new theatre of war, the air. It was every bit as murderous as the trenches below.
People were being killed every day. My best friend was there one evening, and he wasn't there the next day at lunch. You were alone. You fought alone and died alone.
I kissed my mother. I cleared everything right up, and I said, "Goodbye, Mum. I don't think I shall ever see you again."
There was dazzling technological innovation. Planes which took off from a platform on a ship's guns. The aircraft carrier came into being.
The first thing we had to do was to learn to fly on and off the foredeck. I remember the captain said, "You may as well take a revolver and blow your brains out."
There were huge battleships, but curiously only one full-scale clash of fleets. Instead, a stealthy new weapon, the submarine, or U-boat as the Germans called it, was used for the first time on a large scale, bringing horrifying destruction. Above all, it was the cost in human life that remains so staggering. And it's the names of the battlefields that have stuck in the memory. Ypres, Verdun, the Somme, Passchendaele. Those who fought in these places witnessed suffering like no other before.
We came across this Cornish man. He was ripped from his shoulder to his waist with shrapnel. His inside was on the ground at the side of him in a pool of blood. And as we got to him, he said, "Shoot me." Before we could shoot him, 30 seconds, he was dead. And the last word he uttered was "Mother." And that haunted me all my life, Mother.
Finally, in November 1918, on the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th month, the guns fell silent.
Everything stopped, and there was what I can only call as a deadly hush over everything. And we all stopped, looked at one another, because we suddenly realized that we had no objective, nothing whatever to look forward to do.
By the end, human beings had undergone the most devastating experience in history, and within it, one individual decision could change a life.
As that German came towards me, and I can't kill him, I mustn't kill him. I can remember when I joined the army, I swore I would serve my king and country. And by some means or another, it flashed in my mind when Moses came down off Mount Sinai, the sixth commandment he brought down, thou shalt not kill. And I can't kill him. I had about 5 seconds to make my mind up. I shot him above the ankle and above the knee. I brought him down. I didn't kill him.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. And I very often wonder whether the sacrifices that we made are worthwhile. That is, have the years condemned us?
How did it ever come to this? A global war of millions, and yet its beginnings seemed just a pinprick. An assassin's bullet in a faraway place which would change the world.